Well, hi there. So this is our last set of practice problems with efficiency, where we're going to look at what happens when you use interventions into supply and demand and assess what happens to producer and consumer surplus. So let's get started. So our first problem here says the market for apartments in the town of Westville in equilibrium, consumers are renting 700 at a price of 1,000, assuming the supply is perfectly inelastic. That's an important phrase here. We're going to draw a correctly labeled graph for the apartment market in this town, and we're going to use the price and the quantity of the values above. So we're going to start with a downward sloping demand curve, and then remembering that a vertical supply curve is how that's supposed to look if it's perfectly inelastic. And it does say they are renting at $1,000 and that it's 700 apartments. Now, assume the government imposes a price control or price ceiling at 800, and so that's going to be set below. We're going to label that PC and put 800, and we could probably put the PC on this side too. That would be better, but that's okay. This is all good, and we know that we have maybe a new quantity, so we've got price ceiling at 800, quantity demanded at QD, and then quantity supplied is still going to be QS. So the quantity isn't going to change because we still have the same vertical supply curve that we always did. And then it says on your graph, shade completely the area representing consumer surplus after the price ceiling. So we know that the price they're paying is 800. And we're going to stop at quantity supplied because they're not making any more apartments than that. And then we're going to go up the demand curve, right, for our shading purposes, and then down, and then shade all of that area in right there. Right? Now we've got, so I'm going to put a little check, calculate the producer surplus after the imposition of price ceiling. So this one at first glance might seem rather tricky, but hopefully we don't. The area above the price is all of the area this way, right? Or sorry, above the supply curve, I should be clear, is above this way, and below the price is this way. So it's actually this area in here is what we're kind of seeking. And so that is 800 times 700, which is, you could do with a little calculator here, but you could also do 8 times 7 is 56. And then we have 4 zeros after that. And we're going to put our comma in 560,000. Explain why the imposition of the pricing does not result in deadweight loss. Well, it's because the quantity supplied remained 700 because inelastic supply. And what we've really said here is that we didn't reduce the quantity of transactions at all, and so the quantity supplied remained what it was, right? Same number of transactions. Let's take a look at this next problem about milk. It says to help the milk producers, the government's putting a price floor on milk. We've talked about that actually in class. It says the milk producers are only going to sell the milk to consumers after the price floor. So first part here says draw a correctly labeled graph of milk and the price floor. So we do want to put supply and demand first. And I am going to include a Q star here and a P star, even though it doesn't ask for it, just because it's going to help me thinking about this problem. Price floor is going to need to be above that equilibrium. So I'm going to label that P sub F up there as it tells me, right? So I'm using the labels that it tells me. And the quantity of milk bought by the households is going to correspond to the demand curve at PF. And so we have Q sub F. Is the market for milk allocatively efficient at the price floor is imposed? Explain. No, because, and here's what we can say. We can say the QF is less than star. So deadweight loss exists. And that's one way that we could kind of explain that the allocative efficiency is not occurring. Another way we could say it is that because P sub F is greater than P sub star, right? And so that's another reason why this is occurring, is that we've pushed the price up and we've made marginal cost and marginal benefit no longer equal each other, right? This is the marginal cost of making units and the marginal benefit here. We should be transacting at Q star, and we are not. We are transacting a smaller amount. On your graph, shade the area that represents total producer surplus after the price floor. So we're going to go up to QF, right? That's our quantity that we're producing. And the producer surplus is above the supply curve and going all the way up to PF. So we're going to go kind of along there, and we are shading thus. So that one's done. And then what do we got here? Assume the absolute value of price elasticity demand is 2 throughout the price range. Would total consumer spending on the milk increase, decrease, not change, indeterminate? Explain. This one requires that you understand that this is total revenue, right? Which is just price times quantity. And we remember from earlier that we would say if the price is increasing, and we know that it went up because it went from, right, P star to PF, and the demand is elastic. And how do I know that demand is elastic? Well, it tells me right here, right? Because it's 2.0. Therefore, we can say total revenue, if it's elastic, price is going up, total revenue has to be going down, right? They can't be going in the same direction. So, all right, now assume the price floor in the milk market caused the equilibrium price of eggs to increase, and it says that they are related goods. That I should be clear, this is related. Egg and milk are related. And so it does say draw a correctly labeled graph of the egg market show the effect of the price floor in the milk market on the egg market. So it's telling me that they're interrelated in some way. If I know that they're interrelated goods, then I also know that if the price floor here, so I said like price of milk went up, and therefore the price of eggs went up. And I know that what's going to happen over here is a demand change, because that's the only two types of related goods we've got. We've got substitutes and complements. Now, demand falling would lead to a lower price. So demand has to be increasing for the eggs, right? That's the only way that we could end up with this, where demand for eggs is increasing. Now, if the price of one good increasing causes the demand to rise of the other good, we would say that they are substitutes. Now, this is a little bit weird, right? Milk and egg are not actually really substitutes for a lot of people, but we are following the direction that the question takes us. And in this one, it tells us that the price floor in the milk market, which was that price went up, right, led to a higher price for eggs. And again, that's reflected here, showing the effect of the price floor in the milk market and the egg market. I knew that demand had to change. I knew demand had to change because that's the only way to get the eggs to go up, given that they are related goods. And I know that they are either substitutes or complements. That's the related goods. And because the price of one went up and the demand for the other went up, that means they have to be substitutes. So hopefully this helps you with practice part 3 on efficiency. I'll see you next time.